We are back on Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Please do go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to it, give us a review, and tell us what you think about the show. Also, you can always follow me on Twitter at JMCH316. And, of course, check out the local Twitter page at Locked On Sports ATL. Well, last night at Nationals Park, look, it was a fun little celebration of, hey, we've got the guys that are going to parachute in to Nationals Park, right? We've all seen this, right? The guys, you fly the plane over, the guys jump out, the Army guys jump out. In this case, it was the U.S. Army Golden Knights, and they parachute down into the stadium. And it's a cool visual, and it's a neat little way to get the game started, right? Seems pretty cool and straightforward, right? Except for one thing. The people that put all this on, the U.S. Army Golden Knights, didn't alert the U.S. Capitol Police Force, who, without knowing that there was a plane flying over restricted airspace over our nation's capital, over by one of the most important government buildings in America, put out the alarm and had to evacuate the Capitol and send people out. Yes, this was a real thing that happened last night. They called it that it looked like it was a probable threat, but it was actually a plane that was flying overhead, but was actually a plane carrying members of the U.S. Army Golden Knights, who then proceeded to parachute, as we said, into the Washington Nationals baseball stadium for a pregame demonstration as they were taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. So around 6:30 p.m. yesterday, an alert came through the U.S. Capitol Police Force that there was an airplane flying ahead that didn't have the proper clearance and authority and whatever. According to according to I think it's Irianne Dolan. She said, quote, "I was walking the dogs past Dirksen Senate office building. People started streaming out all at once. They told me to turn around and get away as fast as possible. Some people were calm, but many were genuinely panicked. I know I was." Oi, investigators are still working to determine what the hell happened out there. I'll tell you what happened. Nobody let them know, and all of a sudden, they supposedly started getting ready to scramble the missiles. This is a real sentence, that they have surface-to-air missiles that can be deployed to obviously knock out anything that's above. Quote, "The capital region is defended by several surface-to-air missile sites, as well as military air crews on round-the-clock alert." Fortunately, they didn't have to finish off the airplane. How funny would that visual have been? How bad could that have gone? Hey, we're going to have a celebration. Hey, look, the U.S. Army, Army Knights are parachuting in, and all of a sudden the Capitol Police think it's Red Dawn. Like all of a sudden the Ruskies are invading like they did, and we had to get Patrick Swayze to wipe them all out. Could you imagine if they had not gotten this thing straightened out and figured out? Like all of a sudden we're shooting missiles in the air at just a friendly sports event pregame ceremony. Nancy Pelosi said the apparent failure to notify Capitol Police of the pre-planned flyover in National Stadium is, quote, "outrageous and inexcusable. Congress looks forward to reviewing the results of a thorough after-action review that determines what precisely went wrong today and who with the Federal Aviation Administration will be held accountable for this outrageous and frightening mistake." Yeah, I got news for you. People are getting fired over this one. Now, listen, we can make fun of the idea of Nancy Pelosi making sure that we spend valuable congressional time on who's the jabron that didn't let them know that there were planes going to fly over restricted airspace, and this wasn't a recreation or a filming of Red Dawn 2, that this was just the U.S. Army Golden Knights that were going to drop in on National Stadium, which we've seen 100 times across, all kinds of sporting events over the years and things like that. Again, this thing could have ended tragically. I'm glad, obviously, nothing happened, and we can kind of laugh about it now, how ridiculous the whole thing is out there. But just the idea of people being thrust out of the U.S. Capitol and this mass evacuation happening, this idea of people just running away from these buildings and things like that, and just having at the last second be told, we got to get you out of here. Now, by the way, too, if you know the U.S. Capitol Police, they're not exactly the most, what do I want to say, high tech or best police force around. Like they are slightly above what the Keystone Cops normally are. But this idea of, imagine if they would have had to launch missiles and deployed any aircraft, because that's the other thing they would do too, is they'd have aircraft that would deploy and escort the plane in and out of there. And there have been instances where planes have flown in to that restricted airspace. I mean, most everything above Washington, D.C. is restricted airspace. The Capitol, the White House, the Washington Mine, all of those things are restricted. And, even if you fly into D.C., if you're flying into Dulles, by and large, you have to, there's a certain path that those planes have to fly. So it's very difficult just to even fly into D.C. because you have to take a certain pathway and all that kind of stuff. And pilots have always talked about how difficult it is. But here's a situation where these goofballs get all this set up and think it's going to be a fun time. How do you not notify these people? How do you not notify the either the U.S. Capitol or the FAA about what's going to happen? My guess, my personal guess, I'm just saying, is that they did notify somebody from the FAA. They did notify somebody from the U.S. Capitol Police, and that message just didn't get translated to somebody. Now, again, I'm glad Nancy Pelosi is ready to spend, because just imagine what a simple congressional hearing and investigation got. Think about how many, probably tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars are going to be wasted in all of this, just simply because some ham and egger didn't get on his walkie-talkie and his, ham radio CB and just, send out a breaker 19. This here is the snowman. We're looking for the bandit. I mean, just send out a message that this plane is coming over. And it's not like it hasn't happened before at Washington National Stadium, but this whole thing could have really gone sideways. I'm glad that it didn't, but it's funny to think about all of the fallout. It's funny to think about the visual. Imagine like the news stations too, getting reports of people are in mass exodus out of the U.S. Capitol. You know that the news agencies had to be scrambling and thinking to themselves, what the hell did we miss? What was going on here? Meanwhile, these two guys jump out of an airplane that all they are is just a couple of Army guys jumping out of an airplane, and they just think that they're just kind of coasting in. Oh, look, we're gonna throw out the first ball tonight. I mean, it could have gone really wrong. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun night at the ballpark. We're gonna throw out the first pitch. Here comes this missile, like shooting right up out of the sky after him. I mean, whew. Anyway, so if you want to know like where your tax dollars go, what happens with your U.S. tax dollars, every 2 weeks when you look at your paycheck and you say, oh, okay, I got like FICA and I got this and I got that and all this good kind of stuff. Where the hell all my money go? Thank the Washington Nationals and the U.S. Army Knights and the FAA and the U.S. Capitol Police, because somebody couldn't figure this thing out, and now somebody's going to lose their job over all of this. We want to thank you for being part of Locked On Sports Atlanta and for joining me today. Thanks for making Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery your number one listen, your first listen every single day. Now make your second listen ATL Day Ones, Jarvis Davis and Tanitra Batiste. They speak to the heart of the city of Atlanta. Two friends just chopping it up. Hawks, Falcons, Braves, Georgia Bulldogs. Step into the conversation and stay a while. ATL Day Ones is part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, and that's free and available on YouTube and everywhere you listen to podcasts. And, of course, we do ask you to go on our YouTube page, subscribe, leave us a review, tell us what you think, give us a couple of comments on our posts as well. And follow me on my Twitter page at JMCH316. We will be back with you tomorrow. We will get you ready for Hawks and Miami Heat Game 3. This has been Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery on Locked On Sports Atlanta.